Let's see the third story. Hadar Shatar Gunda Achrina Abasrei. So then the Caesar sent a third unit of soldiers after Onkelos and the 2 units that had gone before. Omar Lahu. And the Caesar said to this last unit of soldiers, Lo tishto midi behedei. Don't even delay with him. I think the word tishto probably means delay. Don't spend time with him. Don't just do what you have to do. Maybe gag him and drag him out and bring him over here. Just don't get involved because he's obviously a dangerous guy. Kinaktele, when they took him, it implies the word naked is actually to pick up and take, it seems. So they more than shaklu, as the previous story had been. They were leaving with him. He was walking with him. Here's naktile. Sounds like they even tied him up and dragged him out, perhaps. Va'azli, and they were leaving his house. Chaza mezuzta demancha pischa. He saw a mezuzah that was on the doorway, in the doorway of a house. Maybe it's his house, maybe another house, I'm not sure. But he saw a mezuzah. Oisiv yadei Allah. He put his hand over the mezuzah. This, by the way, is probably the source of the minhag to touch the mezuzah as you go through. By the way, it's the mitzvah of mezuzah is not just putting it up. That's the mitzvah. That's the part of it. You make the bracha on, but the real, I suppose, you get your money's worth from the mezuzah by every time you walk into your house or walk out of your house, you pause a moment, as Rabbi Hirsch says, and think about what's written in the mezuzah and who wrote it and under which conditions it was written, and think about the message that you get from all that, the message of the first 2 paragraphs of the Shema, that Hashem expects us to love Him and to keep His mitzvahs, and to then think how we can apply those ideas to the particular task I'm engaged in now, because there's no time in your day when you have less time than when you're leaving your house or coming in. When you're leaving your house, you're running off to school or to work or wherever you're running off, and you're in a big rush, and that's probably late. And when you're coming home, you're in a big rush. You got to check your email. There's all manner of things you got to do. You can't pause at the door. But if you, every time you went in or out of the door, you pause just a moment to think about what the Torah requires of a person in his life, in his home, and when he leaves his home, then whatever you're doing, you're checking your email, or you're running for the bus, or whatever you're doing, you're going to do in light of Hashem's will. So the mezuzah is a constant reminder at the most difficult time in our day, that is the time when we're in a rush from transition from one activity to another activity. But make sure that activity, the one you're transitioning into, is an activity done l'shem shamayim. Okay, so Onkelos put his hand over the mezuzah. Omar lahu, and he said to the new Romans, "My high, what's this?" They couldn't say much. One, he might have been gagged. It's hard to know. But also, they weren't going to listen to him. They weren't going to get into a whole conversation. They're not stupid. The first two gangs, they disappeared. This one is certainly on their guard. But all he said is, "My high, what's this? What's this thing on the wall?" Amrulei emalan at. You tell us. We don't know. You got our curiosity. We don't know. It's an interesting thing to put on a doorway. Omar lahu, he said to these people, Min hagay shalaylam, the way the world usually works, melech basav adam yoshev mibafnim, a king of flesh and blood, a regular king, he sits in his palace, v'avadav mishamrim oisayim mibachutz, and his slaves, they're outside watching and guarding. They're in the cold, they're in the rain, they're taking risks. They're out guarding because somebody may come and attack. And the first ones who are going to get killed are the ones outside. In fact, these are the soldiers who are doing the will of the king. So what's the king doing? He's having a great time inside. He's drinking and he's checking his email, doing all the things that one might want to do in his palace, and secure in the knowledge that there are hundreds, maybe thousands of soldiers outside protecting his well-being, his welfare. He's the guy on top. He's like the Kuma we spoke about in the last paragraph, in the last part of the story. He's the guy on top to whom everybody pledges and has to act with allegiance. So that's how things normally work. The king's inside on his plush pillows having a great time, and everyone is outside in the cold and the rain and risking their lives for him. The Elo Kadosh Baruch Hu, but Onkelos said, Hashem's not like that. Avadav mibafnim, his servants are inside. Hashem's servants, human beings, they're in their houses. V'hu meshamran mibachutz, and Hashem is guarding them on the outside. Yes, there is some indication that the mezuzah actually could have some protective properties. Of course, halachically, if you put a mezuzah up l'shem shmira because you want it to protect you, you're not really yotzi the mitzvah, and it makes a big mess of things. You put the mezuzah up because Hashem wants the mezuzah there. Hashem told us to put a mezuzah, but it might protect you, and it might well, and we don't mind. That's just fine with us. So there is, in fact, indication that the mezuzah could protect us. Or, better yet, the mezuzah could affect us in such a way that Hashem is much happier to protect us. After all, if we think carefully before every activity we get into, am I doing this the way Hashem wants? Is it any question that Hashem is more likely to protect you under those conditions? So good. The Onkelos told the Romans that Hashem protects us on the outside. Whether the mezuzah is an indication of that, is a siman or a siba, that's an interesting discussion we can have. But Hashem, in fact, does protect us. He is the Shomer Dalsei Yisrael. Hashem Yishmor Tzeitzcha Uvoecha Mi'ata B'Yad Olam. As it says, that Hashem protects your going out and your coming in from now V'Yad Olam. V'Yad Olam actually probably means, well, we'll just leave it there for now. We don't have to go into what it probably means. Forever, Hashem protects you. Igior, they converted too. The bunch of them converted on that one also. Vasulo Shader Basrei, and subsequently the Caesar didn't send anyone. He gave up. The Onkelos is gone. I've lost 3 units of my favorite soldiers. That's quite enough. Thank you very much. So what was the message of this particular lesson of Onkelos? He cleverly elicited their curiosity and got them thinking and got them asking questions. And what was the message, though, is that Hashem not only guides us, gave us a Torah which teaches us how we can relate to the world in a productive way, and how we can relate to the world in a way that'll get us to Olam Haba. And not only does he guide us quite actively. Through the Midbar, we were actually shown which way to walk through our 40 years in the wilderness. But now we're told that he actively protects us, that he cares about us, that he's not just leaving us to the coldness of a world without any rules or any limits, where everything's just the product of luck and chance. But he's actually guiding us and protecting us and loving us. That's a world which, again, hopefully we would emulate. It's a type of behavior that we should emulate, and we hopefully do emulate. And it's a community and a society and a world which apparently was very attractive, especially attractive to Romans brought up in a world which wasn't like that, where there was no hint of any care and concern and love like that. Perhaps it was along these lines that Onkelos chose psukim, verses from the Torah itself, to inspire that first group. Maybe that's what his shiurim are like. We can't know. But either way, we do see that Onkelos does, through these 3 stories, he reveals to us that one of the principles that attracted him, that seemed to have attracted him to Judaism, that he became a ger, not just any old ger, but a ger who achieved incredible greatness. This is what seems to have guided his life and guided his teaching. And next time we actually get a chance to learn Onkelos on Chumash, maybe we can think about that and bask in the warmth of a very loving person, a very loving teacher. At any rate, in Mirz Hashem, we'll meet again. If you have any questions on this, you can always email me at office@marbitz.com. And in Mirz Hashem, I hope to see you again.